Hey, this is Andrew bringing you another Keyforge deck review. This one is called H.A. Razorhand of the Speedy Mountain, and it's actually a Coda deck, a Call of the Archons deck with Dees, Shadows, Logos. And I've heard some people say, "Oh yeah, I think Logos, Shadows, Untamed is the way to go." But Dees in Coda is so good. And anyway, this deck, I bought a display off of Amazon for I think it was $37 or something. It was something silly like that, and popped it open to do a little mini sealed tournament with family while I was down in San Diego, and so there were 8 of us playing. We all popped open a deck, and I opened this thing and I said, "Oh, I need to sleeve it." And yeah, it's real good. It's up there. Vault Tour material, nothing flashy. This is an example of just good stuff, right? It's a lot of good cards that are good, and you play them and good things happen, and some of them synergize, but they're just, the cards have such high upside. So yeah, and it hasn't, I don't think it's lost a game so far. Is that right? I don't know. It's real good. Okay. So let's jump in. Yeah, so to start off, 2 control the weeks. Boom. Gain an amber. Choose a house on your opponent's identity card. Your opponent must choose that house as their active house on the next turn. It's such a good card. Tendrils of Pain. Gain an amber. Deal 1 damage to a creature. Deal an additional 3 to each creature if your opponent forged a key on their previous turn. That's okay. Red Hot Armor, gain an amber. Each enemy creature with armor loses all of its armor until the end of the turn, and it's dealt 1 damage for each point of armor lost this way. Interesting. That can be. This is real good against Saurian. It's also real good against Sanctum. Dominator Bauble is an artifact, an item that has action. Use a friendly creature. That's real good. Lash of Broken Dreams is an artifact that exhausts to make keys cost +3 during your opponent's next turn. Actually, I did lose 1 game with this so far to another very, very good Coda deck. Soul Snatcher. So this is one that is basically if you're ahead, then you're going to stay ahead. You win. If you're behind, you want to pitch it. It's an artifact and vehicle, and each time a creature is destroyed, its owner gains an amber. So if you're ahead and you have some creatures on the board, you drop this, and suddenly your opponent can't deal with your creatures because they will just make you win. Which, yeah, it's a real good position to be in. You do have to worry, if your opponent has too much to protect, sometimes they can get into a situation where they get to steal more from you that way, but most of the time it ends up working really well. Charette is a 4-power demon with play capture 3. We got 2 Dust Imps. It's a 2-power imp with destroyed gain 2. Succubus, 3-power demon with that makes your opponent draw up to 1 less card. Toxin is a 3-power demon that after reaping makes your opponent discard a random card from their hand. Into the Logos now, we have Lab Work, which gains you an amber and has you archive a card. Library Access has been errated, so it says for the remainder of the turn, each time you play another card, you draw a card, but it also purges itself now. So you really want to look for the value term for this. But I've not had a problem with this particular deck getting into situations where I start with at least 3 other Logos cards in my hand when I play Library Access. And that has potential to fizzle. But I've gotten many, 4 draw, 4 extra Logos cards played because of it. So it's a pretty good card if you pull it off in the right scenario. Phase Shift makes it even better because you're going to get a draw off playing the Phase Shift, but then Phase Shift says you may play 1 non-Logos card this turn, and of course that one will also make you draw for the Library Access if you played that. Positron Bolt, I actually wish there were more direct damage in here, but this is at least some. It gains you an amber, and then you deal 3 damage to a flank creature, 2 to its neighbor, and 1 to that creature's other neighbor. Scrambler Storm, more control. Gain an amber, and your opponent can't play action cards on their next turn. Really strong. Library Babel, artifact that exhausts to draw you a card. Bat Drone, 2-power robot with Skirmish and Fight, steal 1. Brain Eater is a 6-power cyborg beast. This is after creatures destroyed fighting Brain Eater, draw a card. We have Dexter, who's a 3-power human scientist with play capture 1 and destroyed. Put Dexter on top of your deck. And then Dr. Escoterra is a 4-power cyborg scientist with play, gain an amber for each forged key your opponent has. And I think, not quite. Okay. Quixo is a 3-power human scientist with skirmish and fight, draw a card. And Titan Mechanic is a 6-power cyborg scientist that makes keys cost -1 when it's on a flank. That can make things go pretty fast. Between Quixo, Brain Eater, and Library, you can get some crazy draws. Add Library, access into that mix, and like you go. This deck just burns real fast. It goes real quick. In Shadows, we have 2 copies of Lights Out, and this really, I think, completes what I would call the control aspect of this deck, with the exception of maybe the Too Much to Protect that's coming up. But Lights Out gains you bonus amber, and then you return 2 enemy creatures to their owner's hand. And okay, not only is this giving you board control, it's also slowing down your opponent's hand. Along with things like Scrambler Storm and the Control the Weaks, this just adds up to a game where your opponent is very frequently stuck with cards in their hand that they didn't want there, and that they thought they were going to be able to get rid of. Okay, I was going to go, I was going to go this house, but I had to go this house, and so I had 4 cards from the house that I didn't get to choose, right? You put creatures back into my hand, but I didn't want to go to that house, so now I'm stuck drawing less because of that. So I've had a lot of games where this deck wins, and the opponent says afterwards, like, "Oh man, I just wasn't getting the draw that I needed," and it's like, well, yeah, you weren't getting the draw that you needed because I was shoving cards back into your hand, telling you what house to be, and making you not play actions. And man, it's just bonkers. And Lights Out is like just especially good now that Worlds Collide is out. If you can plink damage to get rid of wards and then shove sorrying creatures back into their owner's hand, like, they'll be real sorry. Sorry. Yeah, it's strong. Okay. Miasma, gain an amber, and your opponent skips the Forge a Key step on their next turn. Sometimes that wins the game, right? Nerve Blast, steal 1. If you do, deal 2 damage to a creature. Poison Wave, gain an amber, deal 2 damage to each creature. So, and this is a really good way, like I mentioned, plinking wards off. This wipes there are no wards after this, right? This wipes every ward off the board, some creatures, and then you follow it up with a Lights Out to get rid of what you don't want, and you're in real good shape. So, yeah, it can be real strong. Relentless Whispers, bonus amber, and then you deal 2 damage to a creature. If the damage destroys the creature, you steal 1. Really nice. Too Much to Protect, gain an amber, steal all but 6 of your opponent's amber. And of course, if you can follow that up with Relentless Whispers or Nerve Blast, or if you have some other way to steal, like some of the creatures we're going to see in a minute, then you kept them off a key, which is real good. Seeker Needle is an artifact and weapon. It exhausts to deal 1 damage to a creature, and if the damage destroys the creature, you gain an amber. Mac the Knife is a 3-power elf thief with elusive. You can use him as if he belonged to the active house, and he can action to deal a damage to a creature, and if this damage destroys that creature, gain 1. Don't forget, if that's not optimal, you can just reap, and that's fine too. Naughty the Thief is a 2-power elf thief with elusive and action, steal 1. Dodger is a 5-power elf thief with fight, steal 1. And then Shadow Self is a 9-power specter. It deals no damage when fighting, but damage dealt to non-specter neighbors is dealt to Shadow Self instead. So if we count the amber pips here, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Comparing to like a lot of Worlds Collide decks I've seen recently that are like 8, 9. But then we count, like, we probably get a steal here, right? That's 14. The Dust Imps are going to take us up to 18. And then you start to add on the maybe steals, like from Too Much to Protect, Relentless Whispers, maybe one for Escater, right, if we're lucky. And then start to add on the Soul Snatcher, the fact that we can slow the opponent down with Lash, and it just gets out of control real fast. This deck, it generates Amber super fast, and on top of that, it plays through the deck real fast. So, yeah, it is truly of the Speedy Mountain. I think it's pretty appropriately named, and I've been trying to think if, you know, where it fits in with my other decks, and I haven't run it. I have a board in Amber Control from Coda that's very strong. This, like I said, this does real well against the sort of Saurian capture paradigm. I feel less confident with it against the Coda aimed craziness. But Lash gives you some leeway there, and all the control really helps. So I think it has a pretty good shot at hanging in there with those as well. So, I mean, this is, like I said, definitely Vault Tour level. It's a solid, like, day 2 Vault Tour deck. The question is whether it could go the distance, and I don't know. Maybe someday we'll find out. Although like I said, I'm not confident whether I would rather go with this or maybe one of my other ones. But anyway, it's real good, and I was just reminded, like, how crazy it is. I was just trying to have fun and do a little family sealed thing, but you just sometimes you open crazy stuff. And Coda has some real crazy cards. So, yeah, it was fun. Thanks for walking through this with me. Hope you enjoyed it and that you'll get out and forge some keys.